start by saying to die as young as he's died is a terrible thing. Absolute tragedy. We don't know what happened to him yet, but it sounds like he had a heart attack. That's terrible. He should have had another good 20 plus years to enjoy and contribute to life. So, condolences to him, his friends, his family, those that know him. I knew Lindsey Graham, not well, but there are points in my life and his life where we interacted a good bit, most notably in the 2008 campaign for president. I was working for Mitt Romney. He lost, by the way. And Lindsey was basically a staffer for John McCain. And that drew us together a lot in these kind of situations, like negotiating about debates, being backstage during all of these events. Um, there were gazillion primary debates. Um, and that Lindsey Graham was funny, self-deprecating, always gracious, was someone who had a sort of knack for de-escalating a situation, quick to make fun of himself, and fiercely loyal to John McCain. But still knew that part of the way that he needed to interact with John McCain was to give John McCain shit, which is, a way to keep him like not feeling like he's an entirely different person than he was before he ran for president. I would say their relationship was really a wonderful thing to see. True friends, two people who cared about each other. And then when Lindsey ran in 2016, that was the Lindsey Graham I knew. And let me just read you some of the things he said at the time. If we nominate Trump, we will get destroyed, and we will deserve it. He's a race-baiting, xenophobic, religious bigot. He doesn't represent my party. He doesn't represent the values that the men and women who wear the uniform are fighting for. This is Lindsey Graham on Donald Trump, 2016. Tell Donald Trump to go to hell. I'd rather lose without Donald Trump than try to win with him. I think he's a kook. I think he's crazy. I think he's unfit for office. Donald Trump would be an absolute, utter disaster for the Republican Party. Donald Trump would destroy conservatism as we know it. We would get wiped out and would take generations to overcome a Trump candidacy. I also cannot, in good conscience, support Donald Trump because I do not believe he's a reliable conservative, nor has he displayed the judgment and temperament to serve as commander-in-chief. The sad thing is, he didn't support Donald Trump in good conscience. He very much supported Donald Trump in bad conscience. And he did it for the most ambitious, hollow, shameless, cowardly motives. And, it didn't have to be this way. He could have been a very different person. Think about it. What would his obituary be if the Lindsey Graham of 2016 to remain true to Lindsey Graham today? He would have a heroic obituary. Let's say Lindsey Graham, who was one of the few Republicans who continued to stand for the principles that he said were first principles and his values, died on Sunday, whatever today is. Nope. That's not going to be your obituary, Lindsey. And what you're going to be remembered for is Donald Trump. All that other stuff you did, you're going to be remembered for Donald Trump. I believe that you care deeply about Ukraine. You care deeply about Ukraine. You went to Ukraine a few days ago. You've been 10 times. But that almost makes it the more pathetic and sad, the way you continue to support a man who clearly is in Putin's camp. You could have voted to convict Donald Trump after he tried to kill your colleagues. Send a mob in to try to kill your colleagues. Let me clarify. But, think about it. Once you're willing to support somebody who organizes and encourages a mob to come into your workplace and try to kill you and your colleagues, and you're like, that's okay. I don't know. Not a great day, but, he's a good guy. I'll be with him. You really think some level of policy is going to have some break between a Lindsey Graham and a Donald Trump? Like, well, I don't know, guys. The Trump position on the law of the sea treaty. I know he tried to kill all my friends, but no, the mob tried to kill all my friends, but no, that law of the sea treaty principle. And what we're seeing now with Graham and with McConnell, who clearly is fading, we're seeing the first tranche of these Republicans who spent their career saying that they believed in one thing and spent the last decade of their career proving that they really didn't believe in it. And it's going to happen to all of them because, this rumor that we're all going to die, it's looking pretty good. And, one of the things that's mystified me about all these Trump Republicans, the elected officials, politicians tend to have pretty big egos, which not a problem with me. We haven't shot anybody all day for that. So do writers, God knows. So do great athletes, musicians, filmmakers, actors. They have great egos. But having that great ego, why is it that you don't have the self-awareness to see how you're going to be remembered? And supporting Donald Trump is like segregation. All these segregationist senators, congressmen, all this other stuff they did, the bridges they got built, the grants they got, the this or that. Nobody's going to remember any of it. Nobody does remember any of it. You were a segregationist. That's what they remember. Likewise, if you oppose segregation, that's what they remember. That's how it is with Donald Trump. He's the moral test of our time. Now, nobody likes moral tests. God knows I don't like moral tests. I think, like a lot of people, I do everything I can to avoid moral tests. Like, I'm just going to ignore this. But some moral tests you can't ignore. And supporting Donald Trump was a straight up moral test. It's good versus evil. Donald Trump is a racist. Are you going to support a racist? Donald Trump is a hater, a professional hater. Are you going to support professional haters? Donald Trump stands for everything that we as humans say is bad. Like, he's an extraordinarily mean-spirited, angry, brutal, selfish man. And you support him, Lindsey Graham. He's someone who's compromised by Russia. And you support that. And you then become that. But you don't have to support Donald Trump. And this is the thing I go back to, when Trump first got elected, I came from the Bush tribe. And I had a lot of friends that said, well, Trump has hijacked our party. And I was like, guys, man, I want to believe that. But the thing is, the hijacker is never popular on the plane. Nobody ever says, oh, great, we get to go to Cuba, not grandma's house. And Donald Trump was extraordinarily popular and is extraordinarily popular within the Republican Party, which is the only reason he has power. Nobody has to vote for Donald Trump. But Donald Trump is what the Republican Party wants to be. And Lindsey Graham could have opposed that. And you don't know how history would have turned out. You could have defeated Donald Trump. After Access Hollywood, you could have stopped him. You would have lost an election, but you would have saved the party. You could have absolutely voted to convict him. It would have been better for the country, better for the Republican Party, God knows, better for the world. But you didn't. You didn't because you were weak and you were cowardly. And that's just tragic. You are the anti-John McCain, Lindsey Graham. I'd like to believe that the Lindsey Graham that was basically John McCain's pilot fish was really who he was, but I kind of don't think so. I think the Lindsey Graham that we saw the last decade of his career, sucking up to Donald Trump, a man he knows is evil, a man he knows is stupid, a man he knows who has willful ignorance, a man he watched appoint fools, drunks, weirdos, freaks across the government. He's okay with that because, like, he plays golf. He played golf with Donald Trump. Well, it's sad that he's died, but it's equally sad the way he lived the last decade of his life. And I don't know anybody who really can't imagine anybody who really cared about Lindsey Graham. His family, those who really knew him, didn't look at him and every day wince and say, why are you doing this? And there's a lesson here. It's still not too late for all you Republicans. You're going to have a huge moral test around the 26 elections because Donald Trump is going to try to steal the 26 elections. He's going to do everything he can, probably up to citing the Insurrection Act. And what are you going to do? You know, what are you going to do, John Thune? What are you going to do, Roger Wicker? What are you going to do, John Cornyn? So character does count. When I was drawn to the Republican Party, it was when Reagan was around. And say what you will about Ronald Reagan. He did say that he believed in character. He did elevate that. He didn't say that he was perfect. He announced in front of the Statue of Liberty to celebrate being an immigrant. The last speech he gave was an ode to immigration. Peggy Noonan's book about Ronald Reagan was called When Character Was King. And then when you had Bill Clinton emerge, all these Republicans wrote beautiful stuff. Michael Bennett. Here, like, the president is more than just the chief executive. He's the soul of the nation. He's someone you have to look up to. And then when Donald Trump came along, it was like, nah, that was just a lie. I don't care. And that's sad. But it's never too late to do the right thing. There's going to be plenty of tests ahead for the Republican Party. And I would hope that someone would step back and look at Lindsey Graham and say, I don't want to end that way. I still have time. I can still be really who I am and a different person. So on that quasi-hopeful note, I'll leave it there. Have a great Sunday and talk to you soon.